All right, guys, what's going on? It's Nick from Greystone Copywriting. So we're basically going to do like a live walkthrough of me building up a like two welcome flows or two welcome emails. I'm going to go over like all the copy and design and everything. So the brand is called Nothing New. Um, I'm basically just going to do like a little revamp of what they got going on. I'm going to show you the two emails that I made that they can add to their current welcome flow, kind of go over why they work, and then we'll rebuild them live and you can see the full process from start to finish. So, disclaimer, I do not work for them or with them. Um, I've just, I'm subscribed to them. I saw that there was an area of opportunity for them to bring in some more money with this flow. And so I did make this and I did send it to them. And now I just want to make a quick video about it. So we'll start off. What is a welcome flow and why does it matter? Um, so welcome flow has two core jobs: is to convert as many new subscribers as possible and then prime potential customers to buy later that don't buy during the welcome flow. This is the moment when your subscribers are going to be the most engaged. Your open rates are going to be much higher here than in any other like email campaigns that you send, um, because they are actively looking to purchase, right? They're probably looking at you, they're probably looking at a couple different brands, but the intent is quite high right now, and that's why they signed up, right? So a good welcome flow builds trust fast. It introduces the brand clearly and guides people towards an easy first purchase. And brands that send a series of 3 emails or more usually see up to 90% more revenue than brands that only send one, which is the case here. They only sent one. We'll go more into depth. So their original welcome email, um, and let me just be clear, like it's not bad, this one that they sent. It's just mainly that they only sent the one email. So that's kind of what we fixed here. So first critique, and let's take a look at it right here. So this is their email. Welcome to the crew. They are a shoe brand. Here's our discount, intro, a little more, some buttons, call to actions, a little more info, shop different collections, social media, and then social proof, like little testimonial thing there. So critique one: no strong call to action above the fold. So look over here. We have in big text, enjoy 10% of your first order, use code blank, but there's no call to action here. They have to scroll down further. And I mean, it's not that much further, but it still makes a difference. And if you were to drag these two up here, it would probably perform better. And it just makes sense to have the call to action right underneath. And you can even have those two. Like you don't have to have just one if you want to say shop men's, shop women's, because you have a different range of products and you don't know, obviously, who is reading the email, then that's fine. Um, so that's critique number one. You got to have that like critical information about the fold. Critique number two is it's a bit too long and there's a bit too many takeaways. You really want to only have one takeaway, two if you really have to. So they try to do a couple different things, and when you do that, it's like there people are reading the email for like a couple seconds max most of the time. You can really only afford to have one takeaway, especially if you're trying to get them to take an action of some kind. You can't tell them to take multiple. People, they open, they scroll through. They're not there for that long. Attention span is short, so you really need to be selective. Um, so the two that they can probably remove is like the sustainability paragraph and then the social media part. So that would be here. You could say like this, a regular welcome flow is like 6 to 7 emails long. You have time to talk about what you want to talk about. As long as it is important, it makes a difference. You don't have to do it all in one email. So I would take this out, and I would maybe even take this out, but it's not super important. I would definitely take out the social media. Leave the social media till like the end. If they're obviously not ready to make a decision now, they haven't made a purchase after like the fifth email or whatever, then you can say, hey, join us over here, because they're likely not going to make a purchase that late in the flow. And so, but you want to still stay in contact with them um, in as many mediums as you can. You want to stay top of mind. So that would be a good thing for another email. And I would probably honestly take out the reviews, but it's not like I'm not going to be too picky about it. Um, Last one is just no second call to action at the bottom. Generally, you want to have the one about the fold right when they pop in the email, they see it. And then if they do, they are actually taking the time to scroll down and they're like, okay, yeah, I do want to go check out their stuff. You don't want to have to like, get them to scroll all the way back to the top because it just adds friction. Like if you imagine whenever you've done something, you're like, oh, I kind of want to do this, but then you realize it's too much work or it's more work than you want to do, and then you don't do it. And so it's kind of the same concept. You want to reduce as much friction as possible, make it as easy as possible. So even if they have the slightest inclination of wanting to go to the website to look around, it's not hard to do so. You don't want to discourage people from doing that. All right. So that's their email, the first one. And so we're going to go break down this second email, or the first one that I made, sorry. So I'm just going to do a quick overview, and then I'm going to show you how the whole thing was built. So this is a simple bestsellers and benefits email. The goal is just to reduce decision fatigue and raise perceived value of the product. More simply said, you may have 10, 20 products. It's really hard for people to make a decision past like 3 products. So point out the 3 bestsellers and kind of go from there. It makes it much easier. As like a former salesperson, and I know lots of people who have brands, like you want to say as much as possible. You want to give all these options. You think, you're helping, but you're really not. Anything past 3, and it's usually more, what do you call it, not as helpful as you think it is. So this email exists. Like I said, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Already went over that. Okay, so let's just quickly walk through. I don't want to take too much time. We have our headline up here, nice and bold, our bestsellers, so you clearly know what this email is going to be about. Call to action right above the fold, big button, code, expiry date for urgency. We have our intro paragraph. We have the benefits, the overall benefits, and these are like the most stated benefits that the customers experience based on customer reviews. So I said I don't work with this brand. What I do when I do stuff like this is I compile a lot, or as many as I can, of the customers or the brand's emails and competitor or brand reviews and competitors' reviews, and basically compile everything. And I have this like whole research doc that I go through, and I pull out all the benefits and all the stuff that the customers say, and that's how I get all the information to make sure the messaging is accurate and that it will convert. So that's what we did here. These are the 4 main benefits that the customers state about these products that they love. And so we made sure to put these in here, have an icon for each. So it grabs attention, it's easy to digest, and then the top line is always bolded so they don't have to read the whole thing. It catches your eye. And then we go through the bestsellers, and then we have another call to action at the bottom. So that is mainly the email. And now we're going to go through, we're going to kind of rebuild this. So here's what we're going to do. As a brand, if you are a brand owner, you have access to all your photos. I get like your product photos and stuff, so it probably makes it really easy. But all this stuff I just took from their website, so it may not be like the best photos, but I think it looks pretty good. So what we did here is, let's do this. I'm going to drag this over a little bit. We have, so this is the logo. Again, the logo I just took, I think, from the website or their email. So you just take that, size it however you want it to size it. You don't want it to be too big. Place it at the top. Okay, and I knew I needed to put my headline, and I want it to stand out. I want it to be pretty big, so our best sellers. Go down here. We're gonna make it like, how big is it? Something like this. Like that. Make sure it's centered. Make sure it's bolded. I'm not going to do the exact same, but I'm just going to show you, because I've already built this, kind of the analysis that I went through. So I knew I wanted to have my headline And then I went through, I looked at product images to try to decide which one was the best. I found this one. I was like, okay, I kind of want to use this. And then what I did is just remove the background. And to do this, there's plugins, they're called plugins in Figma that you can use that help you do different tasks. And some of them help you remove the background on photos. So what we did here is I just removed the background on the photo. I might just go a little closer over here. And I think there's a stroke on this to get off. So I put this in here, and to make it a bit more interesting, I guess, you do that, give it a little angle. And what we did here to make it give it some more depth is I kind of put it like behind the, I think I did, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. Yeah, I did. I put it behind. So what you can do is you can just send this photo to back. So it kind of lays over top. And what you could do, yeah, so it just kind of gives it a bit more depth. It's not just all flat. All right. So we got our hero image. And I knew the brand colors were kind of like black, white, gray, and then this blue color. So we have let's make our background as white as the email. Center it. Are we in? I don't think we're in. One sec. Okay. And then you want to send this to back as well. All right. And then I basically just I duplicated the block. So I have 2 blocks. I made it the color I wanted to make it. And then I put it on an angle like this. All right. And you do stuff like this, you don't just, and you can, and I do still sometimes, do like cut the image off, just hard line at the bottom. You could even do like something like this where you just leave the image hang over. But when you have like sections like this that like cut across, or they blend from the hero image down into the rest of the email, it just makes it look more cohesive. It's hard to say. It just looks better to the eye, right? It flows better. It just looks better. So that's what we try to do here. We try to add in a nice transition, is what I usually call it. Nice transition. So just like that. And then when you make your hero, your buttons, it's just a rectangle. So it's like I knew I wanted to have a call to action with the incentive. And what I do is I kind of look at their style on the website. So make sure whatever style you have on your website with your design or your text or whatever, try and do that in your emails as well. So that like when people are in your emails and they go to the website, it's one smooth transition. Everything looks the same. So I'm not going to type in all the text, but you get the idea. You can just put this here. I want to have my hero, call to action, the hero section as high as we can. And then you just put in your, what happened there? Go back. What is going on? Call to action. Up in there with your image. And then over here, so what we do is I want to cut this off without making it too much shorter. So you can do this, but I think what I did, yeah, so just make it a bit shorter. All right, and then you throw your body text in here. So I had an intro that just kind of goes into the benefits. So, sneakers our customers can't stop wearing, designed for comfort, style, and sustainability. So those are all the things that they're about. Plus, with your 10% welcome discount still active, there's never been a better time to step into some new sneakers. So we kind of remind them of the discount there. And then we're saying, we're introducing what's to come, meet the sneakers that blank, blank, blank. All the benefits, all the things that customers actually care about. So we're going to have our body text in there. And then basically over here, we want to do another, you could do, let me see. Yeah, you'd probably be best just to duplicate this, and then you're going to match it exactly. And then, like I said, this is one of the colors that they use, so you want to match that there. And then with the, you just grab, I just use basic emojis for all of the um, points that we do. So you just go into ChatGPT and be like, here are these talking points I want to talk about. What are some relevant emojis to use? Is probably the easiest way to do it. I'll spare like 4 or 5 each, or you can just choose whichever ones you want, obviously, as long as they're relevant. So that's what we do here, just for some to catch the eye and to make it very scannable and digestible with each point. So each one of these is just a text box, right? In here. So all I did was make the top text a little bigger, so I can make it smaller again. I can make it super big, just so it stands out, and then you can bold it, and then you have your supporting copy down below. And then we go into our best sellers. The same thing, really, just you grab whatever products you want to talk about. So you grab the product photo from your website or wherever you have it. And I like to put on a stroke, which is just this black line around the outside to kind of give it some more depth. And we also make the background of the photo, or did it come that way? Yeah, the background of the photo a different color, so it's not white. So it stands out a bit as well, right? And then I just go, it's pretty simple, but I mean, it looks pretty good compared to just building it in like the Klaviyo or email builder or whatever it is that most people use. So we want to go, subheading up here with our best sellers. And then we have our product name. So I'm going to take that down here. So product name. And then this is down here is going to be product description. And I want to unbold it. And it's going to be a little bit smaller. It's going to be a little bit bigger. Oh, this is going to be a little bit bigger, so it stands out, right? And then you basically just format it however you want, as long as it looks good. And then you pull down, just use the same call to action that you used up there, and you can include the price here if you want to, along with the call to action, so people know. And then you basically just alternate back and forth. And then again, we just remind them of the 10% down there. So really, it's pretty simple, which is the best way to be. Just performing the basics really good. Don't overcomplicate it. And then we just have like a short, I put this down at the bottom because it's not as important, right? It's just a little to show how the brand is different. It talks a bit about, the people in the company, the purpose, their passion, just to kind of adds on to the why, why us, why you, why this brand. So that's email one. I usually send that as like the third email in the sequence or so. And then we're going to move on to our second one. So this is our breakdown. This one's just an incentive reminder plus a couple reviews. So not all your emails in the flow have to be like super long and like in depth and all this stuff. Sometimes you just want to have, in the middle, and then towards the end, you're just going to have like sort of lighter touch points with some social proof. So that's what this one is about. So most people don't buy immediately. They need a little bit of reassurance. And the best way to do that is to show other people's real experiences, because they trust other people more than you as a company. That's just the way it is. So let's quickly run through. We got our headline, better for your feet, better for our world. So that's kind of, one of the main benefits of the product. We have a product photo. To add a little bit of depth on this photo, I have like a shadow under here, which I'll show you how to do later. And then again, we have our call to action up in the fold. First fold as high as possible. It stands out. They have all the necessary information they need there to take an action. All right. And then we go down here, what our customers love. And then we have a couple of product photos just for fun. And then we have all of our reviews. So it's like a very simple email, but I'll show you how we did it. So again, you pull out your text for press T in Figma. Just go headline here. And then you stagger it. You just make 2 of them in this case, just like that. And again, you place your logo, same as you did before, up top. Grab your hero image from wherever you want it to go. we're just going to use a rectangle as an example here. So I can show you exactly what I did. So with this, if you go down to your right-hand bar, press Effects, it immediately pops up with a couple different effects you do. The one you want is Drop Shadow, which is the one that pops up first. And that just gives a little shadow underneath, just to give the photo a little more depth. It's very subtle, but you pick it up subconsciously. You notice that, and it makes a difference in the way it looks. And if you go over here, you can change this is more so if you have a picture of a product and you want to have realistic looking shadow, you can affect where the shadow sits, so you can move it over here like this. But usually with like hero images, I just like to have it on the y-axis, just like a couple pixels down. And then we put in a line over here. So all this is in Figma, just press L for line. It's just a nice little touch for a little more depth. And then you do a second one. And you just connect them like that. Move this over, down, 1, 2, 2, right there, like that, right? Nice and easy. Then you go over, you put a stroke. I put a stroke on many things because it usually just makes it look better. Bam, just like that. And then I like to do this. It's like a coupon looking outline box. I usually use it for above the fold for call to actions because it grabbed attention very nicely. So you put a stroke on it, and then I remove the fill, and then I go in here in the settings and change it to dashed. And then right here, you can choose how many dashes you want to have, all that kind of stuff. So you play around with it with however you want it to look. And then you can also change the weight of the stroke. So in this case, I made the stroke in the original one a little bit bigger, like that, so it stands out. And then again, you just type in enjoy 10% off your purchase, copy and paste the call to action button from your last one and all that stuff. We have the expires in 11 days now, so some more urgency. All depends on, when you want your coupon to expire, but usually it's about a week or so, maybe more than a week, 2 weeks sometimes, which we did in this case. And then same background as before. You just want to use a big rectangle using off gray, which matches their brand colors. Send it to back. And then down here, I have that same slanted transition. So it's very hard to see because it's a light gray, but you can kind of see it there. So for that, what we did, so you can go down here. I did it in 2 pieces the first time, but you can do it in 1 piece, I believe, which we'll do this time. So you basically double click on the rectangle, and then you drag this point up like this, and you can give it that slant. It cuts across, just like that. And again, text, nice and easy. Everyone knows how to do all this. So with the product photos, so say you have 3 photos. Let's make them a little bigger. And make this one blue. This one black. And we'll do one more. Over here. Give me this. Give me that. We'll make this one, I don't know. Let's choose a color. Red. So all you do is what I did was I placed them in and I layer them in a certain way. Let's see if they'll already be lined up for me. No. So I went like this. I'm like, okay, well, I wouldn't need the red to go underneath. So I just go over here, and you change the way it's layered. So I put the red one under the black one. That's basically all I did. And I put a stroke on all of these, all in all of the images as I normally do. And then again, let's see. We have our background pop in again. So I'm just going to take this one and duplicate it. And I'm going to spin it around like that. Move it up. And I'm going to lock this so it stays in place. That. All right. And then these text boxes, just drag out how big you want it to be. To get this black effect underneath, just duplicate it. So press Control D, duplicate it, select the one on the bottom, make it black or whatever color you want, and then I move it out at even increments. So I move it out 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that, or more, depending on how you want it to look. And that gives it a nice little kind of like 3D effect. And then for the stars, you want to add in your stars for the reviews, 5 stars, of course. So press, I don't think I'll do it actually. If you go in here to where shapes are, shapes, you want stars. So let's put a star in. We're going to make it this color for now. Make it as big as you want. A little smaller, like that. Right there. And these are a little tricky. You have to play around with the spacing a little bit and make sure they're as big and as little as you want. But that's all we did. Just a different color, same size pretty much even. And then with reviews, I usually like to make like the first line or like the first quote bolded. And that's how most websites display them anyways. And that helps to grab attention. So it's like, love these shoes, obsessed, super comfy, terrific. So it kind of gets like almost the main point across most of the time without reading the whole thing, and it grabs attention, which is always the goal. Just kind of drags people into the rest of the review to read it, and these are all just positive supporting points about the shoes. And so I would just put in our kind of subheading that we want to match, we want to have right there, just like that. And then I would copy and paste in our reviews in there. Usually make it about 16 to 20 pixels for body text, and then like 20 plus 24 sometimes for headlines, for subheadlines, which is what we did there, 25. That's a good size. So just copy and paste everything in there. And that's pretty much it. I have a few more supporting points down here, just about like their shipping and stuff like that, which are important points that people like to know about before they can buy. It's a little bit extra certainty and clarity, and it removes risk in the situation. So we have 2 things about the shipping, and then just a few more points about the brand in general. Carbon neutral, all that stuff. It's all related to delivery mostly. So yeah, those are those two emails. Let's go over here. We'll finish up our final summary. So they're intentional emails. They're very simple. You've seen they're not too complicated, but they look good, and they get they achieve the main goal of what they're supposed to do in this flow. So they introduce the brand clearly and the benefits of the product. Use social proof to build trust and certainty to get them over the finish line, and it kind of just it like stays top of mind without being too pushy, which is the goal. You don't want to be like in their face. We're offering value and information, and also reminding them to make the purchase, and that's kind of how you want to do it. So they have like really good products. It looks like they have great products from their website anyways. And the original email does a good job. I would add these 2 emails in addition after making the changes that I suggested to the first one. And I think it would be a pretty solid welcome flow to start with. Starting with about 3 emails is always good. Like if you're just starting out, but then if you want a full welcome email, which I've done on the channel here before, it's like 6, 7 emails. or more even, to really get the most out of it. Because your welcome email, they drive like 30% of, I think it's 30%, yeah, 30% of your store revenue a lot of the time. So they do a big job, and like we mentioned, the customers are like super high intent when they first sign up, so you really want to take advantage of it. So you found this helpful, subscribe. I'm going to do some more of these in the future. I got a couple lined up, and if you're an e-commerce brand looking to make more money with your email, with your newsletter, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get in touch. We can have a chat. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. We'll see you in the next one.